Hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 9th day of October, 2023. Well, I hope you guys had a good weekend. We still are having unseasonably warm weather. It was 84 yesterday. I don't know why, but it was. I think we have a little more time that way, but so far the gardens are still growing, and so we're still harvesting, which is interesting. Let's take a look at the oracle card for today. This again is from I'm going to read it from the booklet, the Wild and Sacred Feminine deck, because I don't know, I stick an oracle in there somewhere. Anyway, it's about It's called The Raven, titled The Raven, and the subtitle, of course, is Magic. This is about considering yourself as a manifesting force. Where you cast your intention through thought, word, and deed. Everything becomes magic. Everything becomes the spell. You influence your reality through higher consciousness for the highest good. So if you're blessed with ravens, we have a bunch that live here on the property. They call out, and they sometimes, get aggressive with my husband, but with me, they just sort of call out, and I call back to them, and realistically, I think that they can be thought of as a familiar. They can be thought of as an intermediary, but mostly it's to remind you, I think, that you are the intermediary between higher consciousness and the physical realm, and everything you do and say and think and cast, really. You're casting your intentions to the universe to influence, and hopefully you're influencing things in a positive way. So embody the raven and your own inner magic today. All right, put that one under there till we draw another one on Thursday. Let's go ahead and take the Elder Futhark rune from the bag here and see what the above side of things are for the significator runes today. And then I'll throw down the 4 elemental geomancy runes, and we'll discover what that is. On the lower side of things, or the ego side of things, and then we'll draw 3 cards and get some more information about all of that, the details of it all. Here we have Isa. Now, Isa is the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's one of the 3 Norn runes, Hagalaz, Isa, and Nathiz. Isa would be the rune of the present moment, or the static realm. It's about will development and contraction, and focusing in alignment and higher spirit. So again, I think it aligns really well with the oracle card for today, with invoking that inner magic within and aligning in your own source presence. Let's see. Take a look though at what the Geomancy rune is going to be. I'm going to put these in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. Oh, well, we have Vaya. Did we have Vaya last time? No, we had Puella. When did we have Vaya? That must be in the esoteric influences forecast. Let's see. They're right on top. We have Vaya. Vaya, its complement is populous. Populous would be 2 dots all the way down instead of a single dot all the way down. Single dots represent active influence or active presence, whereas 2 dots would be a passive influence. And so here we're taking, Vaya means the path or the way. And so essentially a new path is opening. I find it interesting that visually it aligns extremely well with Isa in terms of its look, basically. And I would think that realistically what we're looking at here today then would be walking the path of spirit and walking the path of the soul here, and accessing higher consciousness, being aware of that, what that feels like, to be able to step outside of the ego and allow spirit to inform everything that you're doing. particularly your perceptions about things, because it's from there that reaction happens. Once you get down onto that level of things, perception doesn't necessarily reflect reality. I mean, it might, but it doesn't necessarily. Excuse me. So I think that if we're focusing in and aligning in our own source presence, that could be a new path that's opening. Either that, or it may reveal a new path that's opening today. With the 9 energy for the 9th day of October, you really are looking at the endings and completion of something. And so right away we may be aligning on into something new here. But what it's suggesting is that higher awareness is going to have to govern that. Instead of looking at things that are going on and reacting to it and heading down that path, the path of reaction, I guess you could say. I was out last night looking at the Orionids. Was it the Orionids? No. It's the Draconids. That's what it is. The Draconids this last weekend. And we saw a couple of faint ones. My husband saw one, I saw the other. And then just before we'd given up, right? And this big, huge meteor went across the skies. I was like, well, maybe we should sit here a little longer. But then nothing further happened. Probably around midnight, but it was a good time. But that was too late. So it was starting to get a little cool last night, but not frost cool, fortunately. So just when I think it's all over with out there in the garden spaces, it's like, nope, not yet. But it was nice to sit out, but I think it affected my throat a little bit. So anyhow, let's go ahead and cut the deck. And we'll take the lower half and take 3 cards. Well, we have one from each grouping of the tarot. We have one from the major arcana, one from the minor, and one from the court. The court's actually part of the minor arcana, but I tend to separate it out. I like to look at these things into 3 groupings, really. I think that I'm not going to really be too worried about the order of this right now. I think I'm going to go ahead and we have a 9 numerology for the cards, which matches the day. So something's coming to an end. We have, well, yeah, let's just leave it as it is, and we'll just talk about it. And then if I decide that I want to talk about it differently in terms of an order, then we'll do that in a minute. But let's start out with the Wheel of Fortune. Here we have the 10th card of the major arcana. Essentially, this is the card of success. All the components that go into that. You've got the fixed signs of the zodiac represented in each corner there. You've got Mercury, sulfur, and salt around the wheel. So it's realistically not only prosperity and fortune and all of that, but it's the movement of that wheel as it turns. And in terms of cycles and movement and success, sometimes you're very successful about the things you do, and sometimes you're not. Some things work out, some things don't. But when it appears in a reading, 10 is both about beginnings and endings, really, the end of one phase and the beginning of another. 9 is incorporated into that, especially when you reduce 10 to 1, and then you look at the next card, which is the 8 of Wands. That's 9. And so the 9 numerology for the reading itself, we're not going to, as the 11th rune of the Elder Futhark, Isa, we're going to leave alone, and we're not going to include that in the overall numerology itself. I do the numerology for the readings both ways, both the overall with the rune and then just with the cards. Because it's an 11, that's the master number for awakening and enlightenment. So if it's a master number, I don't reduce it. I don't put it in the same grouping as the rest of the numerology. Those just stay out. So 22 and 11, 33, those are master numbers, and those I leave alone. But we're looking at, if we're looking at at an 11 numerology for Isa, and then a 9 here, and then a 9 overall here, it sort of then implies that we're awakening to a new day. We're letting something come to an end today, and we're ready to embark on something else, which aligns really well with the idea of a new path with Vaya. And if we're talking about enlightenment and awakening, then we're awakening to a higher truth surrounding that. And maybe we're awakening to a higher truth of what success looks like in our lives. Maybe it's not just simply material that we're looking at any longer. Maybe there's a higher awareness surrounding the idea of success and cycles and momentum. Let's move on, though, to the Eight of Wands. Wands is the fire element. And so you're talking about creativity and the spark of life and the life force, if you will, with the fire element. You're also talking about new opportunities. Now, this can either represent a bunch of new opportunities coming your way here that you're going to have to pick through, or it could be the success of here, reinforcing that you had a lot of things going on that contributed to the success that you've had. And 8 is about material recognition and approval. It's about leadership, inner strength, external strength. But here you have 8 wands or 8 staffs coming in, either representing, again, new opportunities, or either what helped to create the success you have, or what's opening the door to new things that are coming your way. And I think I'm going to look at it that way, as after the success is over, now we have a new path that's opening that could involve some new opportunities, new awakening, new awareness, anything that's new on this new path that you're going to be on. We end with the King of Cups here. Here, this could involve somebody that you may meet along the way that's maybe an older person that could advise you. He sits on his throne holding a cup and a scepter here that almost looks like a cup here at the top. You see he's sitting on the ocean right there, on the water itself. Lots of interesting things about this king. He can be kind, he can be generous, he can be a wise mentor, he could be spiritual, but on the other hand, he tends to have some problems with commitment. He tends to be somewhat passive aggressive. So I don't know that this particular person, if he comes into your life to give you some advice about something having to do with a new path or new opportunities, I don't know that he can be relied upon. So you're going to have to be a little careful there. Maybe, but he can be impulsive and not really, he may tell you what you want to hear instead of what's really true. And so I would be careful if you meet somebody like this. If this is how you typically are, then it might be through this higher awareness of Isa aligning in your own source presence that you understand that that's really not a good path to be on, that you need to switch up and do something different, that's a little more awakened, a little more enlightened, and spiritually aware, than someone who is just in the moment and may not be able to reach that within themselves. And maybe they can, but you're just going to have to be a little bit careful. So I wouldn't necessarily, if someone comes into your life that wants to give you some advice, or if you need advice for this new path that's opening here, I would be very careful who you choose. And if you know that this is somebody that maybe you're not, say it's somebody you've known all your life, or a relative, or just somebody you've known for a long time, be sure that you still. I would be careful taking their advice just on its surface. I would look within, I would look deeper to make sure that in fact what they're advising you to do makes any sense at all. So I would consult more than one person. The King of Cups is always, to me, a concerning card. Again, they tend to be passive aggressive, and you never really feel sure if you've just been manipulated, or if you can trust what they're saying, or what have you. So that would be one caution here. I don't view the king as somebody necessarily positive. Um, and again, the path is not real stable for them. When he's sitting on the ocean, he's filled with emotion, and he's not really, he could be very reactive. And you want to have whatever decisions you make about the opportunities that come your way here to be something that reflects your values, reflects your spirituality, reflects higher awareness. You want how you approach it to be on that level, instead of taking the first thing that comes along. One thing that impresses me about this card is you've got 7 of these staffs they're essentially aligned with one another, aren't they? And then you've got this one that's back there. Don't be afraid to take the outlier. Don't be afraid to look at that. It could be something really important. It could be the thing that opens up your life to all kinds of new things. You've got all this stuff coming in on you here. And maybe these are reflective of really the same kind of experience you've had. And you've got this one little straggler there that's suggesting, well, look at me. Don't forget about me. I might this might be something that's really cool and that really opens your eyes to something else. And so I think that with the Wheel of Fortune, I don't think we need to read that as the end result here. I think that especially given today's 9 numerology, you're looking again at endings and completions. So some period is coming to an end, which is inherent in the 10. One phase ending, a new phase beginning. We talked about that in terms of the rune Dagaz. And I drew it out on this one here, but then I wrote a bunch of numbers all over the place when I was figuring out the numerology. But when you look at the Roman numeral 10, you have a big X, right? But if you terminate those ends, you have Dagaz, which is a new day, or one phase ending and a new phase beginning. And I think that there's that energy here. And if you align in your own higher awareness, the path that opens will be quite clear. And so I think that again, I don't think we need to read the Wheel of Fortune at the end. I just think that this has come. You've been successful. The wheel is turned, and now something new is going to happen. And if you want to call that a new path or a new road or something, or a new development, you can. That would be via. And then again, don't be afraid to look at the little outlier there, this one here, of the new opportunities that could be coming your way. If this is not reflecting some kind of leadership or material recognition and approval with the 8, it could be reflecting inner strength. And the inner strength to look past all of this that seems to be the same stuff you always see, and take a look at what this is. Something that maybe you've not considered before. You can do the same thing again and again and again, but maybe a new job opens up, or a new opportunity that way opens up, where it's something entirely different, but you're still qualified for it. And so it might be a new way to explore your own strengths and your own skill set in a different type of a setting. It could be something like that. So something you wouldn't have necessarily considered before, now all of a sudden, that's one of the opportunities that's there. And it's different enough that it sort of piques your curiosity, and you want to explore more, perhaps. So it may take some inner will to do that. It's easy to stay on the same type of experience, right? To stay on the same path. It's a little bit different to decide, oh, you know what? I'm going to do this a little differently. It's a little scary, maybe. But on the other hand, it can be exciting, and it could be something that, you never considered before, but there you are. And so it's worth at least taking a look at it. Whether you choose it or not is up to you, obviously. But again, if there's a little bit of passive aggressiveness within, you kind of need to resolve that a little bit. If you're the King of Cups, but and maybe not be too impulsive or anything, but at the same time, it could mean that somebody could come into your path and want to give you some advice. Maybe you didn't ask for it, or maybe you need advice. You just need to be aware that you don't want to necessarily put your full faith and stock in what that person has to say, especially if you know them to be not quite as trustworthy as you'd like them to be. So be careful of that. And find that inner awareness and let that lead you down the path you need to go. But other than that, I mean, you could come upon somebody who's very supportive. It could be somebody in authority that's very supportive of you. You just have to be careful with the person. That's all. That might work out fine, but if there's something inside that's going, I don't know about this with that person, then pay attention to it. It's work your raven, work your inner raven, your inner magic to know whether or not something feels right to you or not. And so he would be kind of that outlier, maybe. I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe he's somebody that you can trust. You just have to be, kind of keep your own counsel a little bit there, and don't throw your lot in with the king necessarily. If this indeed represents somebody else coming into your life. Again, if it's you, then, if you have a problem with commitment, well, maybe this is the time to rethink that and see the higher and see that as more of a fear-based reaction instead of something that's aligned in spirit and representing the master number of 11 of awakening and enlightenment. It just seems like there's this. We start out with such a spiritual basis here for what's going to happen here, and some of that is letting go of things that don't serve you. And it could be that's what the King of Cups is suggesting here. It just bothers me that he won't look you in the eye. That's the thing. When they don't look you in the eye and they're giving you the excuses and they're telling you what's going on, but they're looking around everywhere while they're doing it. They're not really looking at you. It's like they're creating it. That's what's happening. When they're looking around instead of looking you in the eye, they're creating the message that they're giving you. They're creating the answer. They're, whatever. It's in the creation form. It's not what happened. It's in the creation form. And so that's what bothers me about this card. He doesn't look you in the eye. And passive aggressive people don't look you in the eye. They just don't. So, and if you can't get them to do that, then I don't know. Maybe you just need to go find someone else to talk to about it. So anyway, I don't think we need another card. I think we're good with this. I just think that maybe today something's coming to an end. You've completed something. It's been successful. And now you're ready to start something new. And who knows? It might be what you've been waiting for all your life. You never know. So, thanks for watching. Check out the blog over at Stepping Aside. The address there is imsteppingaside.com. If you forget, click on more below the video. It opens up a window, a box. It's got stuff in it. That website, though, is right up there at the top. And the forecast is out for the week. The daily correspondences for work and magic are out for the week. This week's Exploring Tarot card is there. And have a good week, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.